gon' stop me, huh? Who gon' stop me, huh?
Yeah, who gon' stop me?
Hey everyone, Coach Carroll coming to you with a video a little bit different today. I actually had a request to do something on time management. So today's video is about time. We're going to look at the problems that you face when trying to deal with time management, both as a sales professional but also in a business. We're going to look at efficiencies and systems, talk a little bit about focus and discipline, and then ultimately we're going to look at how much is it actually costing you, okay? So before we get into this, I kind of got to make a little bit of a twist. I don't use the words time management anymore because if you look at the second part of that, management, it means to control something, and I'm sure you'll agree you can't control time. Well, I mean, you can stop your clock or do whatever you want, but the time's still going to tick by. So I have this theory, there is no such thing as time management, only time utilization. And I actually had Tom Hopkins retweet that the other day. So when we look at time utilization, we have to understand that you and I have the same hours as Warren Buffett, as Mark Cuban, as all of the wealthy people in the world. It's all about what we do with that time. Now, one thing Grant Cardone says, and I love this, is he says rich people have new problems, poor people have the same problems over and over again, right? So it's that squeaky belt on their car over and over again. It's you know, oh, the electric bill's due again. It's the same problems all over and over. But rich people figure out a way to have new problems, right? I've got too much work. What am I gonna do? How are we gonna figure this out? That's a good problem to have, and it's a new problem, right? But let's look at the bad problems that hop up. You know, maybe your sales staff isn't performing. Maybe there's a system in your business where communication isn't working too well. And what I want you to do is to isolate that problem when it occurs. And so we need to isolate it and look where the root of the problem came from. So what is it? Why is that problem occurring? Okay, let's fix it right now, put the fire out, but let's go look at the root of the problem and put a system in place so that it doesn't happen again, right? So we want to put the fire out, and then we want to put a system in place to make sure that it doesn't happen again, okay? So that's going to deal with your problems. Now, let's talk a little bit about efficiency, right? So efficiency and systems. Efficiency must have systems. It's a symbiotic relationship. They go hand in hand. And I often say that systems are the Advil or the Tylenol for small business owners and for salespeople. Systems is what makes a business scalable. It's also what allows you to buy back time. So if you have systems in place to where you're more efficient, you can actually outproduce competitors in your marketplace because you are more efficient, you're producing more, you're ringing every minute for what it's worth, all right? And that leads me to my next point, which is focus. Are you truly doing, now we're going to take a second because I want you to think about this. Are you truly doing everything you should be doing throughout the day? Now, I want you to think to yourself, how much time do you spend on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn? Now, I'm not talking about hopping on Twitter, posting a tweet to market your brand. I'm okay with that. But how many videos you watching on YouTube that aren't really making you any money? That's where focus and disciplines come in. Disciplines is the ability to do what needs to be done when we really don't want to do it, right? So when I wake up at 4 a.m. in the mornings, and I've moved my schedule from 5 a.m. to 4 a.m., so I'll have an extra hour of time in the day, right? Because Warren Buffett's got the same 24 I've got. If I spend one less sleeping than he does, I've got a leg up on him. And trust me, I need that when Warren Buffett's coming around, right? Okay, so when we look at the focus and the disciplines, I don't necessarily want to go to the gym every morning at 5 a.m., but I know to stay in shape and to stay fit and healthy, that's what I have to do. I don't necessarily want to call those prospects back at 4:30, right? I might want to leave the office a little early, but I know that it's a discipline. And small things repeated over time will produce large-scale effects, right? So you remember back when you played sports, your coaches always told you, take care of the small things and the large things will take care of themselves. It's the same thing in business and in sales. So when you talk about time utilization and when you look at trying to control time on a grand scale, this is what you need to work on. You need to work on fixing your problems, put systems in place so they don't happen again. We need to increase our efficiency by having systems. We also need to work on our focus through polishing off our disciplines. And let me go back to efficiency real quick, because I've been known to hire out tons of stuff, right? Like if I can buy some time back, that's what I'm going to do. And that leads me into my last point, which is how much is it actually costing you? So let's talk about food, for instance. You spend X number of hours cooking food, preparing food, or maybe your wife does as well. What is your time worth? What is your time worth spent doing that? Doing laundry, mowing the yard, cleaning your vehicle, doing data entry. And I want you to kind of just swing around in your head and look at things in a different light. If you could hire someone to do that for a lesser amount, which was what their time costs. So say your time is worth $20 an hour. Could you hire someone for $10 an hour to do that same task, right? It's the same reason why I hire my graphics out. It's the same reason why I have a personal assistant. It's the same reason why I have someone that cleans my house, that does my laundry, that cooks my meals, because I know what my time is worth. And lucky for you, we're going to give you a little formula to figure out what is the actual value of your time. So if you would, get out a pen and paper, and I need you to write this down. At the top, I want you to figure out what is the perfect number of income. If you had just a bang-up year, perfect, nothing went wrong, DJ, I closed every deal, it just worked out just as well as I planned it, what would that number be? Write that down for me. Write down what your perfect number would be. Okay, now, underneath that, I need you to take that perfect number and divide it by 2,040. Now, ideally, we want it to be less than that if we're not working a full 40-hour every week, but let's stick with the average work week and do 2,040. Now, that number that you have, put that underneath there, that is what you should be valuing your time at. So, if your perfect year was $500,000, you should have a number that reflects that. And now, given not every single minute of every single day we are making that money, right? If you're in the sales profession, you're not doing that. But I want you to look at, if you're a business owner, what's the gross number that your business could do? Now, value your time at that, because this is going to do two things. One, it's going to make hiring that personal assistant that much easier when your time's worth $300 an hour and they're going to do it for 10 or 15. The other thing is, it's going to change the way that your mind rotates around the idea of what your time is worth. It's not a big deal for me to wake up an hour earlier because I just made $320 more, right? So use that as motivation. So let's run down through these again. Problems. Be rich, have new ones. Don't be a poor person, have the same problems over and over again. When the problems do arise, put out the fire. Put systems in place to make sure it doesn't happen again. Those systems will move over and make you more efficient. Efficiency increases the amount of production you can have. If we stay at a high level of focus, follow our disciplines, that's going to increase the value of our time. So, I hope today you've learned a little bit about time utilization, not so much time management, and hopefully you'll start maximizing every hour, every minute of every day. Here's to your success. Talk to you soon.
Who gon' stop me, huh?
Yeah, who gon' stop me? No brakes, I need State Farm. So many watches, I need 8 arms. One neck, but got 8 charms. Who gon' stop me, huh?